أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلديهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to this week's installment of the Black Imams Roundtable. That's right. Come on in here, everybody. You know what I'm going to say. If you're part of our family, tag your friends, share it on your platforms. Let everyone know that the session is about to begin. Share, like, and something that I want to also add that we don't usually add at the beginning, we expect your participation. We expect your engagement. And also we expect some bread, some money, some fulus, some skrilla, some cash, some dinero. We agreed years ago that every time we meet together on Tuesday evenings, that everyone would put up at least $10 each, which would put us well over our minimum goal of $500. See, to do good work, you also need money to do that good work. To have teachers, to travel to meet each other, to organize gatherings, all of that takes money. I have a very graphic imagination. So one time Imam Amin was joking that, you can, get on the plane or you can book a hotel room, right? For free, fi sabilillah. I actually imagine, you know, getting on a bus or a plane and they say, "Where's your ticket?" I said, "No, I'm traveling fi sabilillah. You gotta let me on." Right? It's not gonna happen. I go to check in at the hotel. Uh, do you have a reservation? Yeah. I am Abdullah. It's not paid. It's feasibility lotto. You got to give me a room, right? It's not going to happen. It takes money, right? And so we have to come together to make sure that we have the financial ability to do everything that we're talking about. Because without money, everything that we're talking about will remain talk, and we'll just be talking until we get old and get gray in our beards. Oops, we already got gray in our beards, right? Till the beard becomes all the way gray. And we need walkers and canes and, multiple hospital visits and all of that kind of stuff. And we'll still be talking, but we need money to actualize, to put into practice everything that we talk about. So this is extremely important. So don't neglect that. The ways that you can contribute to our efforts, they're in the comments. We accept Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, all that good stuff. So alhamdulillah, today we want to talk about marriage, but not just marriage in general. Who can we marry? Because I don't know if any of you are under a rock or not paying attention to what's going on, but the whole entire idea of marriage in and of itself is being attacked and being destroyed. There are a lot of people, just generally speaking, not necessarily talking about Muslims, that have already checked out and they don't even buy into the idea of marriage anymore. For some people, they say marriage is only a piece of paper. And a lot of these weird ideas, the Muslims are being affected and infected by these ideas. And when you attack marriage, you are definitely attacking the family itself, the whole concept of having a family. You are attacking that. So the family is under attack. It has been under attack for a long time. It's just not new. It's not new. It's not something that just happened. The black family has been specifically under attack for a long time. There's even an old documentary that keeps making its way uh, back in the algorithms. It becomes popular. People are sharing it now. It's an old documentary talking about how the welfare system undermined and targeted the black family. Because back in the day, if a family wanted welfare, public assistance, the man couldn't get it, and the woman could get it, but the man couldn't be in the house. So you make it hard for that person to work and that man to work and have a reasonable, livable wage. And then you say, okay, we'll give you meaning the family, money, but you can't be here. And they literally used to have welfare agents that would come to the house and check to see if there were any signs of a man living in the house. And if they determined that there was, then the benefits will be taken away. This is part of our history here in this country. A lot of y'all don't know that because something is not happening now. You think it never happened before. And a lot of times we don't realize that we got in this situation by a system, an organized system. And the system changes so often that a lot of times we don't recognize that the system is changing. And so we, the Black Muslim community, are living as a minority in the Black community. And what a lot of us don't realize, some of us recognize it a long time ago, but a lot of us don't realize that what affects the Black community also affects the Black Muslim community. Even if you don't claim to be Black, even if you claim that I'm Muslim and I'm not Black and all that other nonsense, and I don't have no race, Islam is my race. I don't have no color, Islam is my color. I don't have no ethnicity, Islam is my ethnicity. Even if that's you, right? What happens in the Black community nevertheless affects you. And so with that, a lot of the basic things about marriage that used to be known of the deen by necessity, certain things that no one would ask or have any questions about, now are even seen as permissible or even options. So that's why we ask the question, who can we marry? Who can we marry? And this can go a lot of ways, but I want to make sure that we cover at least two major subjects. I want to cover who Muslim men can and cannot marry, and who Muslim women cannot marry, can and cannot marry. And I want to direct your attention to Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 221, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَنْكِهُ الْمُشْرِكَاتِ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنَّ وَالْأَمَنَةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِنْ مُشْرِكَةٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ وَلَا and do not marry a mushrik or an idolatress until they believe. A believing slave girl is better than an idolatress or a pagan, though you may admire her. وَلَا تُنْكِهُ الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنُوا وَلَا عَبْدٌ مُؤْمِنٌ خَيْرٌ مِنْ مُشْرِكٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَكُمْ أُولَئِكَ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ وَاللَّهُ يدعو إلى الجنة والمغفرة بإذنه ويبين آياته للناس لعلهم يتذكرون. And do not marry off believing women to idolaters until they believe. A believing slave is better than an idolater, even though you may admire him. Those, meaning the people of idolatry, call to the fire, and Allah calls to paradise and pardon by his leave. And he makes clear his signs to the people that they may remember. So that is Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 221. And so this is extremely important. This is what I want to cover first. I want to cover the second part of the verse, because there's a lot of rhetoric going on in the Muslim community. And if you're paying attention to what's going on, it's nothing that it's the same thing that's going on in the non-Muslim community. We just putting it in the Islamic context. A lot of women are saying that there's no good Muslim men out here. That's what's being said. If your ears to the streets, the Muslim women saying all of these Muslim brothers are shot out. They trash, right? There's no good Muslim men out here. So I'm going to marry me a non-Muslim man. A non-Muslim man. And this comes up a lot. Some people even ask, I hope he doesn't mind, I won't get too specific, but one of our Imams had passed on the question to me that a sister wanted to do this. And I explained to him, and he already knew this. He was just, like, sometimes you ever get that type of question, be like, wait, did you really ask that? Like, is this real? Let me ask someone else, right? It was one of them type of things, right? And so I explained to him, and again, he already knew, that a Muslim woman marrying a non-Muslim is not only haram, but it is haram that in that it goes against the explicit text of the Quran. It goes against the explicit text of the Quran. That verse right there that we just mentioned. I said that if this woman, this Muslim woman, and anybody else who may agree or support her go along with this, even after having the verse clarified and explained to them, and still thinks that this person is permissible, their iman is in jeopardy, and that's putting it lightly, because you're going against a clear verse of the Quran. I said if they go along with this so-called marriage, while at the same time still recognizing that they're sinful for doing so, but still go along with it anyway, that person is a major sinner, a fasiq, which has other far-reaching implications. And that is no more than zina, fornication and adultery, even though they're calling it marriage. Any children coming out of that will be illegitimate children, etc., etc., etc. There's far-reaching implications upon that. And so that's my introduction. I don't want to, I see I already went too far. But like I said, I want to talk about at least the two aspects of this verse: who Muslim women can and cannot marry, and who Muslim men can and cannot marry. Because a lot of Muslim brothers think they can marry anybody, and that's not true. Well, alhamdulillah, I don't know who goes next, but I'll pass it to one of my glorious respected, noble Imams. Imam Amin said he's going, so alhamdulillah, bismillah.
With the permission of Imam Faheem, if you want to go, you can. Oh, barakallahu bikum.
You mean go as in leave? Assalamu alaikum.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. This is a very important subject. And usually on the roundtable, whenever we have a conversation or a topic, is usually based on some things we experience. And as imams in inner city communities that are predominantly attended by African Americans, there are unique situations that come up, and most of those are based on our cultural environment here in America in our communities. I was talking to some couples, and when they came to me for counseling, the first thing I said to them was, take off your mask. And they looked at me like, I said, take off your mask, right? Because a lot of times when we deal with each other, we have a mask on. And really, we're not dealing with who we're dealing with. We're dealing with the false representative of that person. So there's the person, and then there's that false representative that they put out front. Do you meet that one? And what happens is you're ultimately going to end up dealing with the person, not their false representative. So I like to skip the representative. Let's get past him or her, and who am I really dealing with? And one may ask, like one sister asked me, she's like, well, you might can't handle who I really am. I said, sister, I'm black. I can handle whatever you bring. She was serious though. She said, you might can't handle who I am. I said, I'm black. I can handle whatever you bring. So please bring me you, right? And why did I say that? Because instead of spending a long time sitting there trying to figure out who I'm talking to and wasting valuable time going through this mystery person that really doesn't exist, I could take that energy and we could take that energy and deal with the real situation. This you're not going to find in a fiqh book. This is experience. I'm going to give you fiqh rulings, but most of the things we're dealing with marriage has absolutely nothing to do with fiqh. It has to do with tasawwuf. That's a word that people don't like. Most of the stuff we dealing with in our communities, in relationships, interpersonal relationships, marriage, divorce, raising the children, dealing with each other, has nothing to do with fiqh. It has all to do with a tasawwuf. And what do I mean by it has all to do with tasawwuf? Is matters in the heart. Cleaning up defective character, hearts that have become rusted, that have become hardened, that have become distant from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala and His Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's what we're dealing with. If we fix that, the fiqh rulings are easy to apply. But when that's messed up, even the fiqh rulings don't work, because we're not dealing with law, we're dealing with morality. There's a difference, a big difference between the two. Most of us know the rules. Some of us don't know, but in general, we know the rules. We know I'm not supposed to have intimate relationships with someone I'm not married to, yet people still do it. That don't stop anything. I know that this is a major sin, but I'm still doing it, right? So the issue ain't the law. The issue is the heart. And understanding why we need to adhere to the law. This is very important to understand. I'm saying it in the nicest way possible. When we get to really take off the mask, I can say it how it really is, but I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna leave it there, right? So when that sister said that to me, how do you know? I said, listen, I wasn't always Imam Amin. I'm from the hood. I'm from the inner city. I'm from the projects. I understand. I can look at you and tell that's not the real you. Not being judgment. I just know us. Can I ask y'all something? And now this is going to get a little spicy here. If I said to you, that's a dope fiend move, who don't know what I'm talking about in here? I said, that's a dope fiend move. Who in here don't know what I'm talking about? Say, if you don't know what I'm talking about, say me.
I have no idea of this terminology that you use. It's very foreign to me, and
You cannot live in Camden where you live at and not know this terminology. It's
quite honestly, I'm offended with this vernacular that you have presented here today.
Can you define for us dope and what is fiend? What is that?
Right. So all of us are familiar. You're too young to be familiar, son. I'm glad you're not familiar. Right? So we know that. And it has its signs. Even when a person is no longer suffering from substance abuse, they're in recovery, those moves don't go away for a long time. So that's why you would find a person in the programs in NA, for instance, for 30 years. Like, when the last time you got high? 30 years ago. Why? Because those moves and the traces of addiction take a long time to get rid of. And you have these groups to help you get through that. You have sponsors, you have helpers, you have a sheikh in getting over your addiction. There is tarbiyah going on here. That's what's happening in the room. When we sharing, that's tarbiyah. A lot of times, that's for NA. We have AA, but we don't have some other A's that we need. We need some other anonymous. I got to be careful because all of us can't handle real stuff. But this is what we're dealing with.
So, are you saying that there's another NA?
Huh?
You saying that there's another NA besides Narcotics Anonymous?
There's an NA, there's an HA, there's a lot of stuff we're dealing with, right? But here, it's real. I was watching. Please accept this harsh reality because it's relating to what we're talking about. I was watching on Facebook. It came across, I know some of you might have saw it. It was one of those advertisements. I don't know what they was advertising or what the point was. But there was a lady, she was at a desk or something, and she said, excuse the language, but we're dealing with real stuff, so be patient with me. She said, she was talking, look, a guy was, not have the guy, someone's talking and someone's in another screen looking at them and like examining what they're saying. So she was at the thing and she said, she was like dressed up like a nice religious woman. She said, you know, The last stage of a hoe is a religious woman. And she smiled. And went back to work. That's what she said. And for somebody that would have been, that's offensive. We understand exactly what she's talking about. After going through all she's been through, now she realized, I'm too old for that. She turned to God. Men have similar stuff. I was walking home, and I was walking, it dawned on me. I was like, Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed me in and out. Right? Because I was thinking about where we come from, what we've been through, and I realized that Allah lifted that stuff from us. I was like, wow. It was like one of those bing light bulb moments. Because we've been through some stuff. And now to be doing what we're doing, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives acceptance, that's some stuff to be happy about, right? If I sat down and told you about my life, most of you would think I'm capping. Get out of here, Imam, you full of it. Nah, we had a life out there. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us to a state, many of us, not talking about just me, many of us, till you can't even recognize what we've been through. But some of us are still trying to get to that point. So when we're dealing with them, they would front that point, act like they there, but they still in the struggle. So I'm saying that to really have something to think about what we're talking about. This is real talk. So the person was coming, who can I marry? That's a legitimate question because we ain't have no rules from where we come from. I'm just sharing reality. There was another thing on the Facebook. Unfortunately, you got to watch this stuff just come up. And a lady, non-Muslim, she was like, she was doing her little thing. And she said, sister, can I talk to you for a minute? She's talking to the camera, but you know how they do that. Can I talk to you for a minute? She said, do you really honestly believe that you deserve your own whole Negro for yourself? She said, she ain't say Negro, you know what she said? She said, hold up. All these women out here that don't got no man, you think you deserve your whole man to yourself? Sister, you're bugging. You got to share that. This is our culture. SubhanAllah. She said, all these women walking around here can't find a man. Some brothers in jail. Some brothers are homosexuals. Some brothers are identifying as it and them. And you think you get your own man to yourself? This is what the people we're dealing with. That same person comes to you. Assalamu alaikum, Imam. MashaAllah. She's got on the khimar. And you just put that khimar when you came in the masjid. You didn't have that khimar nor that garb on. You had on tight pants and your eyebrows. And you forgot to take the lashes out. That's how I know you wasn't, right? You had the lashes. You forgot. That don't even match. Why am I saying that? Right? Not to be funny. I'm just saying that's what we're dealing with. And men the same way. The guy's going to come to you and he's going to say, MashaAllah, you know, Sheikh, you know, I'm trying to get this sister. We're trying to hook it up. Dude, you got 2 girlfriends, bro. You got girlfriends. And you're talking about a wife. You got girlfriends, not one, S's. But you coming to me like, yeah, Sheikh, MashaAllah, you know, got your pants to your kneecaps. Only at that point. That's real. That's the reality of the situation. So such a question is serious because the mask going to make that person not even deal with the reality they're facing with. And they're going to tell you a story that doesn't work. So you got to get past that, right? Once you get past that, now we can deal with where we at. And now we can work to get out of that, right? All right, before you get married, Doc, you got to get rid of all those girlfriends. Sis, before you get married, you got to actually not be so loose. You got to tone that down because you're going to be somebody's husband. I mean, somebody's wife. And this ain't no dude in the streets. How you could just be like, you know, I heard in Islam, my money is my money and his money is my money. I said, love, that's not the answer. Your money is your money, and a portion of his money is obligated to take to you. His money is not your money. So you gaming. In your mind, it's like, this is a come up. No, it's not a come up. This is a marriage. This is a relationship. And I'm saying all this is like raw stuff, but you may ask, why do you have these conversations? Because this is what we deal with on a regular basis. You'll be in a gathering and you come in one thing, and by the time you walk out, you got a whole different opinion of both parties. You'd be like, hey, we were supposed to be having counseling. How did this turn into revealing all the stuff we doing? So let's skip it. Because, you know, oh, be real. Don't be fronting in front of the Imam now. Like, she just blast you out. Right? So I say all this to put context to what we're talking about. And most of us don't have the opportunity to be around people who's willing to accept us where we at and help us build. We just got to play like it's not real. For us, we need to be real. It's not for every single person. But trust me, in the 15 years I've been Imam, it's more of this than the right pious people who's coming in. Listen, they come into the meeting not married, hugging. Assalamu alaikum, baby. Oh, what's going on here? I thought we... But that's a reality in the Black community. We were dating before marriage, right? That's normal in American society. You get your girlfriend, you date, you know, and then if you like her, you know, how they say, you try the milk before you buy the cow. You know, that concept is real. People still live like that, even though they say I'm Muslim. That don't change, right? You got married women going through divorce and I come to the Imam and blink at him and be like, I wish my husband was like you. Like, what the heck is this? You got men that'll go to the Imam's wife, smiling and blinking. It's the stuff you deal with. Blowing kisses at somebody else's wife. Assalamu alaikum, sister. You all right? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. This is the reality of some of the things you're facing with. So this is heart matters along with fiqh. You follow what I mean? And it happens. That's not, none of what I'm saying is to mean to put us down. It's really to wake us up, realize what we're dealing with, and then figure a path. How do we get it out? How do we get past this? Because these people, all of us who go through all that, could one day be awliya of Allah with the help of Allah. Don't forget that. So while we're going through those struggles, we can be among the awliya of Allah if we work. And I'm emphasizing this because I'm going to give fiqh rulings, but I was thinking, yeah, we got to get the tasawwuf before the fiqh, right? And a lot of this is rightfully so. I just touched on some of it. Some of us are lonely, men and women. We can't find a compatible mate. So we, in our culture, we out here thirsty, many of us, right? And we come from a culture where you don't got to remain thirsty. There's plenty of Mountain Dew out there. Right? You don't have to be thirsty. So the fact that you're thirsty is a blessing in of itself, that you're trying your best to obey Allah. Now we have to facilitate so you don't drink the wrong stuff that hurts you, right? We have to facilitate that. So that's my long opening before we go into rules. I want to put context on what we're talking about. In no way do I mean to put anyone down. I want to deal with the reality, because I tell you the story. This happened like long time ago, and I'll close with it, my opening with this. One time after Jumu'ah, I come off the minbar, I go into my office, a sister come knocking at my door. Now, I know this woman. I knew this woman from the projects before Islam. So, I know this woman. But the fact that she's demon, I'm like, alhamdulillah, because I know the woman. She knocks on the door. She's like, Amin, I need to talk to you. I ain't Imam, because she knows me, right? Amin, I need to talk to you. I'm like, uh-oh. What? She didn't say Imam. Amin, I need to talk to you. I said, oh, this is some stuff. Here it come. Listen, I ain't even need warning. Once she said, Amin, I need to talk to you, I'm like, what the heck she done? Right there, the first thing comes to my mind. She knock on the door. She comes in. She says, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh, boy. So as I'm talking to her, trying to figure out what she's talking about, another brother comes and knock on the door. Bang, 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 bang. Hold up, let me speak. Let me speak. What the heck is this? Let me speak. He says to me, I will never forget this. He says to me, Imam. He don't know me. She do. He says, Imam. I mean, he knows me, Imam Amin. She knows me from the hood, right? He says, Imam, you got to tell her. Listen, he's talking to me. Imam, you got to tell her she's my wife now. I'm like, what the heck are y'all talking about? But I know her, so I know this is some funny business going on, right? He said, you got to tell her she's my wife now. I didn't even know she was married, right? Somebody married you? Okay, right? And then I found out who she's married to. This dude put in work in the streets. He found out you messing with his wife. Man, we got a murder on our hands. And that's you putting the Imam in that, because she's like, Amin can help me, but you got Imam. I'm like, oh, this dude. And y'all, he's like, well, you know, the sunnah is whoever takes care of her, she's his wife. It's not funny, but you wouldn't even believe we go through stuff like this. He said the sunnah is whoever's taking care of her, that's his wife. And he wasn't joking. He was serious. And I've been buying milk and stuff for the kids, and I've been giving her rides. And I've been putting out bread. So I said, Akid, this is not your wife. But look what he said. The sunnah is. That's the mind. And I got to think how I'm going to manage stopping this dude if he found out from putting you in a box or in a trunk someplace. Or this sister losing her Islam altogether for this crap y'all doing, right? You have to figure all that, right? These are real life situations that happen regularly, on a regular basis, in different various forms, right? If you hear some of the stuff we go through, so when we talk about who can get married, who can we marry, how we need to marry, that's one aspect. We're going to talk about it. But really, we got to talk about how to train ourselves to be good Muslims. Forget good Muslims yet, right, at this stage. To be good human beings. right? At this stage, what we talking about, I'm not talking about just Muslim. I'm talking about being a decent human being. Like figuring that out. So I guess this is just giving you a part of the background. It wasn't my particular topic, but we all live in the same boat, right? And we're dealing with similar stuff. But I want us to really be real and have real conversations. Nah, okay, go ahead. I'm Imam Faheem. I'm finished. Sorry for my long opening.
No, mashallah, that was excellent. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawmiddin wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we thank you all for joining us tonight. Here, my fellow Imams. We ask Allah who subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this effort from us, and we ask Allah who subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for any misgivings. Amin. Yeah, so you heard plenty already. Well, first, let me just reiterate. Let's make sure that we like and share this podcast tonight, and also make sure we get our donations together. As Imam Naeem mentioned, that years ago we started to we initiated this project that we try to make some money every week by a suggested donation. Understanding the context of our people and knowing a lot of people don't have it all the time. And so we made them a very minimum amount that all of us should be able to afford every week, $10. And, if 50 people that we at least get every week is watching this broadcast, we can raise that easily. And, there are people who go back and watch these. And there are many people, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give it, bless them, give a shout out to them. There are many people I come across who watch this podcast and they never comment or anything like that. But I always get people hit us up and they really appreciate what we're doing. So tonight's topic, we're talking about who can we marry. I think it's important that we identify, we really be precise about the who. Now we know in Islam, for the most part, many people know that a Muslim man can marry a Muslim woman, right? A Muslim man can marry a woman that's known as the people of the book. And Imam Naeem was alluding to this earlier, that it's not just anybody, not people of the book and non-Muslim women are two different things, right? So the people of the book are restricted to Jews and Christians. So a man cannot marry a Buddhist woman. He cannot marry a Hindu woman. He cannot marry any other kind of thing. It's restricted to Christians and Jews. They are who are the people of the book. And even though they are people who don't have belief, they have honor with us, right? A Muslim woman cannot marry a non-Muslim man, right? And so these categories, and even with marrying the people of the book, there are also conditions with that, right? And so someone who doesn't go to church, someone who's a baby mama, someone who just out here, they are not people of the book, because the word that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses in the Quran is the muhsinat, the chaste women. One of the explanations of this is that women who never even had the desire of a man, right? And so, and I've often used this, brothers come and they had their girlfriends. Oh, I'm giving da'wah to, she from the people of the book. And then, she got 2 kids before she met you, bro. She's not chaste. Right? She go to church, it's her lineage back to Isa alayhi salam, those kind of things. So, but we need to really define the who is, because I think for the most part, many of us know, a non-Muslim man cannot marry a believing woman, and a Muslim man can marry a Muslim woman, or he can marry a woman from the people of the book, meaning the Jews and Christians, right? And so now when we talk about the who, it's going back to what Imam Amin was mentioning. Who are these people that we are seeking for marriage? Who are these people that we're engaging? Who are these people that we are developing relationships with, that we getting our hearts involved before we even realize who they are? And this is the biggest problem that we're having. well, one of the biggest problems. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in the hadith, this is one of my favorite hadiths, he said that the people, they're like gold and silver, they're already enriched, they're minerals, but they have some defects. And he said, khiyaruhum fil jahiliyyah, khiyaruhum fil Islam, idha faqahu. The best of them in jahiliyyah are be the best in Islam if they have understanding, if they have sound, proper knowledge of the deen. The traits that they had before will be magnified when they come to deen. If they were intelligent, if they were business people, if they were truthful, they were honest, Islam will magnify those things. And subsequently, if they had these, and if they have religion, of course, if they have fiqh of the religion. And also, if they have bad character traits and they had things and they come to Islam and they don't have proper understanding of Islam, they bring those things as well. And that's a big problem, So we need to define the who. And this topic was very timely because I just had in the last couple of weeks something, even today, just this very day. So I was coming to the Masjid earlier, and the brother came up, and I know the brother and the sister. They were never married, but they both Muslim, right? Very comfortable with just, at least projecting online that they're having a good time. And then, when they start hitting the fan, when the Muslims turn back into N-words, or they never gave up being an N-word totally, then problems come. So the brother started coming to me, and he actually approached me today. And this was before we ever even knew what the topic was going to be. And so he was like, yeah, the sister's out of pocket. And, so he was trying to plead his case. And, she had reached out to me, but I never had talked to him because, you got to talk to both of them. And then all this nonsense that nobody wants to tell the truth and nobody wants to be real. And then when you bringing out the real based on your experience, then it's like, okay, you're not covering people's faults. All this kind of stuff, right? So the brother started going on, oh, she crazy, man. I ain't teaching her nothing that she learned from other people. And I was like, bro, where was Allah in all of this when y'all was hooking up? Y'all was online, y'all traveling, y'all on ski jets and, all of this. And nobody talked about obeying Allah who's subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you wonder where the problems come from. You wonder where the problems come from. And now you want to talk deen. Now you want to know the ruling of such and such. You didn't care nothing about no ruling when you disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, And so these are some of the things that when we have to decide who the who is. And I can't even tell you the numerous accounts I have of people who come and, they want to get married and they want to get married right away, right? But then they want to, like Imam Amin was mentioning, they don't want to take the mask off. So once you hear them and then, you can see them a mile away. So they come in and I listen to them. Yeah, such and such, it's a nice sister, it's this, that, and the other. And so I asked them a question. Are y'all living together? Oh, mashallah. No, we in a situation. And no, are you living together? Yes or no? If you're living together, that means you come on, who are you talking to? You're not sleeping in separate beds. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, so now think about your niyyah. Are you getting married to avoid the haram, or are you getting married to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is something that you need to really determine now, because down the line, if you don't have the proper niyyah, it's going to come out. And I always tell them, I can't tell you the number of times that I've seen people who were quite comfortable, quite happy in committing zina, putting themselves, in the line of fire, to get Allah's wrath, and then they get married and they can't function. I had a case where a brother and sister was together for 10 years, unmarried. They got married, and 3 weeks later, oh man, I can't deal with it. What do you mean? And so we need to define who this who is, and the Prophet ﷺ made it very clear. He said that a woman is married for 4: her beauty, her deen, her lineage, and her wealth, right? And I said it out of order. He said, marry the one with deen and you will be successful. Not the one that looks good to you. Not the one who is appealing to your visual and you told yourself that, okay, I just want to get married, but the real intention that you never checked is that you want to have halal sex. you know, and now this woman is a problem because you never really had no, you know, that at least you had some kind of taqwa that, you know, you had to marry her, you know, and when you married her, now all of a sudden she's being who she is, and now you can't deal with her. I had a situation just recently that somebody contacted me about. You know, when we talking about taking the mask off, the sister said she was talking to her brother, and when it's time to get married, you know, the brother didn't show up. And so now, you know, these hard conversations with, because people are so sensitive. Now, from my experience, and Allah knows best, what that tells me is that they were already intimate. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we can't be, you know, confiding these things because it's not like, you know, the Catholic Church, you just tell the imam all your business. But these things are vital to know because you put it in context. Like, I don't want to hear that stuff about somebody disobeying the law, but this stuff is very important because when they do that stuff, they don't have no kind of shame. But when they come in the office, it's like, you know, we had a situation and this one, whatever, you know, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. All that stuff is specific things. And they try to generalize it. Oh, you know, yada, yada, yada. We had a situation and there was an issue and there was an incident. No, y'all were sleeping together. You know, you had no concern obeying the law subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know. And so many of these things that we have to really get the who. And the who is not based on the look. Just like the man sometimes is marrying a sister just based on her looks. He didn't think about she had kids. He didn't think about she had a mental disorder. He didn't think about if she was abused. He didn't check none of that out. And I had instances where brothers, they didn't even meet the sister's family. You know what I mean? He just wanted to marry her because he had a look. And then on the other side, you know, sisters are not really defining the who is. This brother looks the part. He sounds good. He's quoting all Quran and Hadith. You know, he has the finest oud that money can buy, you know, or he might not even have the money. His grandma bought it for him, you know what I'm saying, because he's living with her. You know what I'm saying? You know, he has all of the right speech, all of the right books. You know, everything is about knowledge. He can teach you. Oh, he's knowledgeable. Compared to who and compared to what? Compared to what you heard him say? And you didn't compare him to anybody else? How you know he was knowledgeable? I hear this one all the time. You know, the brother's very knowledgeable. All I want somebody to teach me. Then when they get married, all I want is for him to take care of me. You know, because you find out he's not capable of teaching you nothing. And he's not interested in teaching you nothing. He came what he came for, you know. And in his mind, you know, when he's still an N-word, you know, that he hasn't learned anything, he still think, you know, what he got in his pants is really going to control the situation. And, you know, we all know that's not true because that's the first thing that they say when you get divorced. At least in Jahiliyyah, you know, he wasn't, you know, well, he wasn't satisfying me, you know, and all that nonsense, you know. And so we really need to define the who we're checking out, you know. And many times when you bring these issues up, we seem like the bad guys. If you ask a sister, okay, where was the Wakil? When did he get involved in your situation? You talking about weeks later after you already fell in love with this man through the instant messenger? Now your Wakil was in, and now the Wakil is telling you, no, don't marry him. Now he's blocking, or the Wakil already like you, so he blocking. So now you got to get another Wakil. You're not attached to any community, so you're going around, you know what I'm saying? And now, you know, now nobody wants to help you. Nobody wants to aid the Muslims, but you were nowhere to be found until it's time for you to make the haram halal. You know, and that's on both cases. Allowing this man to seduce you, to talk nice to you. You know, he made love to you through your ears and everything sounded good. You never asked for a bank statement, a work history. You never talked to his mom. You never talked to his grandmom. You never talked to nobody that grew up with him. You don't know nobody that grew up with him. And now these days, you don't even know if he was a man or a woman before. You know, so we need to really define who the who is, taking time to find people who are righteous, you know. And the Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith that, you know, if a man comes and asks for marriage and he is a righteous person and his deen and his character is satisfactory, is pleasing to you, then marry them off, or there will be corruption in the land. But you really have to check out a person's deen and their character. You can't know about it because you met somebody, or even if somebody spoke for somebody. You have to go and find out who knows them, Who can verify this person? Does he go to the masjid? You know, how many partners has he had before? You know, how come, you know, and I told it to one sister, did you ask him, can you talk to one of his ex-wives? You know? Because if he was good, okay, it's not a bad thing that's his ex-wife. But if, you know, as long as it wasn't nothing messy, you know, she shouldn't be like holding a vendetta against him, you know. But then you come find out some things, you know. And so all of these things, we really need to define who is and who we can marry, because we're not picking the right who's in a lot of instances. And then we have a problem. And then we're forgetting the fact that our children are seeing us and they're not seeing a model. And many of us, we didn't see a proper model. That's why we've been reluctant to get married. You know what I mean? And so this stuff will start to spread to generations, because wallahi, we're having a big problem nowadays with younger kids not even wanting to get married, not even interested in marriage, but they are interested in getting their desires off, you know? And there's a growing trend of sisters being with non-Muslim men, and even some of them promoting the idea because the non-Muslim man treats them better. You know, because the Muslim man, you know, they got married and they thought they was marrying the bag and, you know, all this kind of stuff, and they didn't treat the sister right, and the sister didn't grow under any situation, on any way. She didn't grow any way in being under this man's care. It was like she married a son. It was like she married a brother, like her brother, her little brother, you know, and we have to fix all of these things. So we need to, you know, when we step into this arena of marriage, we need to be honest about the who that we're marrying and the who that we are. Because a lot of times we're carrying things and we're not being honest with ourselves. You know we're not ready to get married. We know we're not capable of dealing with somebody else's children. We know we're not capable of dealing with a woman who has a mouth. You know, you think she didn't have no mouth because at the sit down, you know, it's, oh, mashallah and subhanallah and all this. And you think she didn't have no mouth? They all do. You know, you thought the brother wasn't abusive. You know, you heard some stories. Oh, no, he's not like that. He's a nice brother. This brother was in jail. You don't know who he was messing with. You don't know if he liked that, what they call it, that boy candy. Some of these jokers coming out and they be full-blown Leonardo DiFagios, you know, and you didn't check them out. You didn't check about their psychiatric history, psychiatric evaluations, broken homes, a lot of things that we still don't talk about that's taboo. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we talk about little girls being molested. What about little boys being molested? You know, being abused, being physically abused by their mothers because, you know, the mother hated on the father, and all of these things that come from dysfunction that we bring with us to Islam, and we never dealt with it. And now we think that Islam cures all because we became Muslim. No, that stuff don't go away. Your experience and your trauma don't go away. Islam is a means for you to deal with it, but you got to face it. You got to face it. That's what tasawwuf is. You facing you and you fixing you. Spiritually fixing yourself. You know what I mean? And so there's so much stuff that, you know, we can go with this, but we need to define that who outside of what the Sharia rulings about who we can marry, which Imam Amin is going to discuss. But we need to really identify who is that we are marrying, and then we're engaging. And this whole thing about, you know, I know that we have to get to know each other before marriage, but we're going above and beyond the bounds, you know what I mean? Because now this stuff is leading to a lot of things. And now then you feel obligated to get married to somebody that in many instances, you never had no intention on really getting married. You know, there was we talk about these things that come across Facebook and, you know, there's always attack on brothers. We always wrong. There's always us, right? But then there was one, well, when the sisters do it, and this, we're talking about a non-Muslim woman, right? So they interviewed her, or no, that was one, but somebody said that the women, they never married the ones that they liked. She said something about they never married the ones that they had that they like. It's like the ones that they settled for. And then this one woman, she said, you know, they was asking about her husband. She was like, yeah, he was never my type, but you know, I married him anyway, you know. And then you know, women have that capability where they can kind of put up with that stuff, you know. They can kind of put up with that stuff. But a man, you know, if that's not his type, he should definitely not marry because it's going to cause a problem, you know. And this whole thing, you know, and this, it's a lot because I don't want to feel like I'm attacking anybody, but, you know, this generation of men is really sorry. And some of them are our peers, you know, some of the stuff that they're doing, like, come on, man. Or a little younger, some of the stuff they're doing, you know, marrying a woman, you know, all this nonsense, man. I don't, because we can start going somewhere else with it, but, you know, and some of the stuff that is like just horrendous, you know, some of the stuff the brothers are doing while acting like they're pious, hollering at other brothers' wives, knowing that they married, sometimes knowing who they married to, and bringing that whole thing from Jahiliyyah, you know, this is not for real, you know what I mean? Cheat on your man, that's how you get a his head. Y'all listen to these songs and they're having an impact on you, you know? SubhanAllah. You know, that, well, I'm going to stop there, but inshallah, we'll revisit some of it, you know.
Wow. I want you all to, I think we first have to remember that we're not living during normal times. Most of the stuff that we see going on around us is not normal. Even by Kaffir standards, is not normal. Maybe about an hour before we came on, I was watching an interview about this girl who she was like OnlyFans model. That's what they call it now. Like basically someone doing porn on a website, basically. Right?
Whoa, man. What's going on?
I didn't say I was watching the OnlyFans. I was watching an interview about.
Oh, man.
Let's clarify.
Well, you did say it's not normal.
But you know, some of these emails got issues. You're supposed to keep some stuff to secret.
Hey, Sabir, don't be putting that little emoji there. This girl, she's tried to break the Guinness Book of World Records. Chris was saying do research. All right, I'm gonna get y'all. She tried to break the Guinness Book of World Records by having sex with most men during a 24-hour period. She tried to have sex. I didn't finish. I don't know if she succeeded, but 1,000 people, 1,000 dudes in 24 hours. Why I say that this is not normal? Because one of the things that came out in the interview is that her mother is her manager. Her mother. Like she's doing it, but you know, a lot of people think that when people got all of these subscribers and likes and stuff on the internet, it's just them sitting in front of the camera. No, a lot of them have elaborate setups. And you have more than one people working, and then the YouTube money and the ad stream and all that stuff is coming in. It's like a whole production setup. This girl, part of her management team is her mother. Think about that. Think about that. A girl trying to break the Guinness Book of World Records by having intercourse with the most people in the 24-hour period, and her manager is her mother. And people are talking about this stuff openly, like it's, you know, like it's normal. This is the environment that we're living in. So we're here on this platform talking about marriage and who you could get married to, and other people are trying to break the Guinness Book of World Records by sleeping with the most people in the shortest period of time. You have to recognize that we're strangers. There's not a lot of people like us. I'm not talking about those of us who got it right and You know, I'm talking about those of us who are even trying to get it right. We are from amongst the Guraba. We're from amongst the strangers. You have to realize that most people are not trying to do what we're trying to do. Most people are trying to do the exact opposite of what we're talking about. Keep that in mind. We're a small little dot in the sea of a whole bunch of people trying to do the exact opposite. They ain't even trying to do what we're talking about doing. Even some of the people that were described already by doing all the ratchet stuff that they got going on, they're at least on some level trying to do it right. Most of the people around us are not even trying to do it right. Just think of I wanted, like Imam Amin talk about context. That's the bigger context. And on our fringes, on our edges, are people that is getting caught up into what everyone else is doing. Some of us will even have children that are raised in this society and will blame us for trying to raise them as Muslims. Literally, they will hate us for not doing what everyone else is doing. Why did you have to make me a stranger? Why you had to make me grow up like this? Why couldn't I be like everyone else? This stuff is real. So we all not the same. So everybody around us, most of the people around us are not even trying to do us right. The people in our center, in our core, are trying to do what's right with some level of success and some level of failure. Then you got people on our fringes that's just getting caught up doing what everyone else is doing. And Imam Faheem, something very important. The chastity, being chaste. A lot of us, like in Surah Ma'idah, chapter number 5, the same verse that Imam Faheem alluded to that gives us, meaning the Muslim men, the permission to marry the chaste women from the people of the book. That same verse says, Muhsinatu min al-mu'minat, chaste women from among the believers first. That it is permissible, it is halal, that Allah made halal for the men, chaste women from among the believers. That word that's used for chaste comes from the word hasuna, which means to fortify. Like a lot of you have that small little book of dua that they call Hisnul Muslim, is the same root word, the fortress of the Muslim. So when you talk about the concept of chastity, you're talking about the concept of protecting and fortifying your borders, protecting your borders. When you have a fortress, that means only certain people are allowed in. It's a protected, safe boundary. And a lot of our problems, as Imam Amin said, has to do with spirituality. And part of that is we let people into our fortress, our safe space, our protected zone that shouldn't be there. In other words, we are falling in love with people who we shouldn't even be connected to in the first place. And then you put in the cart before the horse. Now that your heart is there, now you want to try to make it halal, get married. But you didn't protect your heart. You didn't protect your heart. And if you know anything about the spiritual path, the whole objective is to protect your heart. Those eyes, those ears, the tongue, the nose, the limbs, all of those are pathways leading to the heart. And so we've interacted with people. We've looked at people. We listened to people. We've interacted with people, and they got a direct line to our hearts. They got a direct line to our hearts. And so now that our hearts are full, we're in love with the haram. This man that I shouldn't even be thinking about or interacting with. This woman who I shouldn't be interacting with. In my heart, I'm in lust with them, or I'm in love with them. A lot of times we say to ourselves, I'm in love with them, but really, it's really not that. A lot of us are in love with the haram. You give that person you give that brother that same woman that's completely halal for him, he won't be interested in it. It got to be haram. Like what the imams mentioned is true. A lot of men, a lot of brothers don't want you, sister, unless you already belong to someone else. You become attractive to him. I mean, half of the rap songs that Imam Faheem could quote is talking about that. I gotta take you from your man. That stuff has crept into Islam. I don't know if y'all realize that or not, and it's been here amongst us. These sick mentalities, these sick mind states have crept in amongst the Muslims. And Muslims are thinking like that. That's why, as Imam Amin said, the heart needs to be purified. There's some sick stuff going on at the heart level. It's really sick. So chastity, being chaste, right? We're not protecting those borders, those boundaries. And then we're trying to make a halal situation out of something that can't be made halal. Like someone said earlier in the comments, if it started off bad, it's going to end bad. And that's something that we should all remember. It started off bad. Maybe no one knows it started off bad except you and her. But you know it started off bad. You know it started off bad. It's going to end bad. It's going to end bad. You have to remember that. But it's hard to get people to remember this stuff when they're in the moment. Ya Sheikh, meaning you, Imam, Imam Faheem. Ya Sheikh, wasn't it Imam Shafi said that when the lower head starts thinking, the upper head ceases to think, or something like that?
Imam Ghazali.
Or Imam Ghazali?
Yeah, he said something to that meaning.
I thought it was Imam Shafi. See, I try to get Imam credit. See,
it may have been, but I know sure Imam Ghazali's statement like that.
So that's important to remember. Once your private parts get activated, you have diminished intellectual capabilities. You don't think rationally and logically anymore, because your emotions, your sex drive, all of that is involved. The point is for it not to get involved before you get married. That's the point. But a lot of us, because we have these mixed crazy ideas about marriage in Islam, we think that getting to know someone means getting to know someone to the point that you're in lust with them or that you're in love with them. And if you get to that point before marriage, it's too late before you start thinking rationally. And we're living in the Wild Wild West. So the family is already broke down, it's already disempowered. Whereas in the Muslim world, you can fall in love or in lust with someone, and the family can step in to stop it from happening if they know it's not good. But in our situation, no one can stop you. If Imam Naeem won't marry you, someone else will marry you. And then when the situation goes bad, you come back to Imam Naeem with the problem. That's how it works. And then Imam Naeem ignores you and sends you back to the Imam that married you. Then you say Imam Naeem is trash because he won't deal with the problem. He's supposed to be an Imam. Alhamdulillah. I pass it to Imam Amin.
Excuse me, sometimes when we're talking, because we have so much experiences. You ever hear that saying, sometimes you have to laugh to stop from crying? When I listen to all this stuff, it's so depressing sometimes. The only way to function is to laugh. right? Just to get through it. Like, just laugh it off and keep going. Because some of this stuff, you know, I was talking to a family this morning about children. So the mother was complaining about the child not telling her how much money the child has. Like the child got like a summer job or something, you know, a job. I don't know what kind of job, but a job. And the mom and the dad, they don't get along well. They're separated. They had their issues. So the child is like in survival mode because if I tell mom gonna take my money and, you know, all this stuff going on, right? And as I was listening, I said to the mother, I said, you know, we all know that feeling of poverty to the extent where before you responsible for a family, you got to take care of moms, sometimes dad, right? From the culture we come through a lot. I said, you complaining about what he doing with his money, and we got to realize this stuff is becoming generational. You remember that with your own mother. When your own mother was taking money from your brothers and sisters, right? Because she needed to survive. So a lot of stuff, I'm mentioning this because a lot of stuff is generational trauma. And we have to start saying like, man, we gotta put a stop to this somewhere. Right? Like somewhere we gotta say, nah, we gotta turn the switch. So let us turn the switch for a minute. It's very important. Let's go to rules. One of the great Imams, Al-Habib Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir, rahimahullah ta'ala, from the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we studied his book, Ladders to Success. He mentioned in that book, he said that it's an obligation on every Muslim who is mukallaf. That means that person is baligh, aqil, pubescent, sane, that they do not enter into anything until they know what Allah made lawful in it and what Allah made unlawful. Please document that. It is a personal obligation on every Muslim who is mukallaf, who is morally responsible, sane, pubescent, not to enter anything until they know what Allah made lawful in it and what Allah made unlawful in it. Before you go into something, you have to learn the rule of Allah related to that thing, whatever it is. So since we're talking about who you can marry, that's before we even talk about all the details of marriage. What is lawful and unlawful in marriage? That's a al-ankiha has rules. Marriage has rules. There are halal things and there are unlawful things related to the start and all the way to its end when you're actually married. So before you get started, all the way to end, there's rules. There are arkan, there are integrals, there are shurut, there are conditions, there are mubtilat, there are invalidators, there are sunnahs, the sunan, those recommended matters, there's adab, there's manners and behaviors. All that is a part of that process. Before we enter it, we need to know the rule. So number one, any of us who are thinking about getting married, we need to sit with a living teacher, with a reliable book of fiqh, because you're talking about rules, al-ahkam, al-amaliyah. You're talking about practical rules. A living teacher with a reliable book of fiqh. Number one, We said living teacher. Al-ilmu bit-ta'allum, what the Prophet ﷺ said. Knowledge by learning through a teacher. You can't do it yourself. You need to sit with a knowledgeable teacher, a knowledgeable, trustworthy teacher who's going to tell you the rule. I don't want to know what you think. Not interested in what you think. Let's learn the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is halal? What is haram? What are our preconditions? What are the integrals? What are the invalidators? What are the recommended matters? What are the manners and behaviors? I want to know that before we talk about anything else. Y'all follow? What's the rules? These are practical rulings. How many people we know that are married, that want to get married and never studied the chapter of marriage in a reliable book of fiqh, according to no school? The school that we see people following is called the madhab of what I want. My desires. I don't care about the rule of Allah. I want what I want. And that's why the discussion has nothing to do with rules. Do not get married until you sit with a teacher to learn the rules of marriage, divorce, child custody, everything that's going to come out of this relationship. You need to know the rules before you even get into it. That's something we got to start from the door. According to a sound, reliable, agreed upon school of legal jurisprudence, al-fiqh, Hanafi school, Maliki school, Shafi'i school, Hanbali school. One of those schools, you got to sit in a reliable book and learn that chapter with a living teacher. Before you even talk, we ain't even talking about marriage in a real sense until we do that. What's the rules? Right? We got to know the rules. That's number one. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us morally responsible in terms of worship with things. And we must follow exactly what Allah made us responsible for. That's very important. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made marriage lawful, recommended, it's not lawful and recommended till you do it correctly. And you can't do it correctly till you learn its rules. So that's everybody's responsibility. Imam al-Bukhari, in his Sahih, he has a book, Kitab al-Ilm, the book of knowledge. He has a section on there, Bab al-Ilmu qabla al-Qawli wal-Amal. The section, knowledge must precede every statement and action. We have to learn. We shouldn't speak or do anything until we know what is the rule of Allah in relation to this. That got to become a rule. And if you Muslim mukallaf, then you have the individual responsibility not to go into something until you know its rules. So from this, no one among us from now on would say, I didn't know. No. Don't do it until you know. And how are you going to know you know? You sat with a trustworthy teacher who ensured that you understood the religious judgments about what you're going to. As Allah told us in what you're going to do. As Allah told us in the Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. So you don't do anything without knowing the rule. So that, like I told one of the sisters, she's like, oh, I didn't know that. I said, then why are you involved with him and you didn't know that? Oh, he's the imam of the house. He don't even belong in your house. How is the imam of your house? What are you talking about? Ain't the man the imam? He's not your man, sister. He's a potential candidate for marriage. But that doesn't happen until you learn the rules. He's not your man, and he's definitely not your imam. He's the imam everywhere but the masjid. Right? It's like, you know I'm the imam around here. Because you go be the imam in the masjid, they need help. Right? Like, that's the mindset. So, no, not an excuse. Because you get that sister acting like she ain't know what was happening, running game. You knew what was happening. You particularly avoided the masjid to do what you're doing. And he was down with it too. So he was like, man, sure, Lord, you know, I don't want no imam. You know, it's my house. I'm going to be the imam. And, you know, so don't be going to no other imam. And you in my jamaat. You in here. What jamaat? Come on, man. This is stuff we dealing with. So the rule, everyone make sure you learn the rule. So I don't follow a madhab. Well, we ain't getting married. How about that? Right? Because you ain't going to make up your madhab on me. Right? So we're not even getting married. We're going to follow a madhab. We're going to follow, because we want to make sure we know the rules. Because if we don't follow a mujtahid, that means you the mujtahid. And then I got to ask, do you fulfill the conditions of ijtihad since you making up rules? Let's not play with the religion, right? And if we're playing with the religion, at least be honest, we playing games, right? At least don't lie to ourselves. Because if you're lying to yourself, you will never correct yourself. Just say, listen, we ain't ready. And then you shouldn't get married. But there should never be an excuse for no one to say, oh, he tricked me or she tricked me. Look, you should have learned the rules, not by yourself, with a living teacher. Especially when we're talking about the marriage contract. It is in need of extra precaution and confirmation. The marriage contract, and I'm talking about how the marriage is done, right? I'm not necessarily talking about paper. I'm talking about the marriage contract, everything that involves it, right? It is in need, desperate need in our time of extra precaution and confirmation. Repeat that. Extra precaution and confirmation, especially with all we dealing with. And for the sake of just not being too explicit, we dealing with a lot of stuff. And we got to accept we dealing with a lot of stuff from our backgrounds and our present too, a lot. So when we talk about getting married, take all the precautionary measures. Like Imam Faheem said something serious. You got sisters that know they require a certain amount of money for the life they want to live. But they'll marry someone who they know can't do that. And then after marrying him, blame him. You know, why you marry him? You know daggone well he couldn't do that. Or I didn't know. Then you didn't take extra precaution. And if you took extra precaution and you agreed on it, stop crying because you knew what you was getting into, right? Or likewise, you got brothers who know what they want. You want a pious wife. You want a wife who don't talk back. Why you married a sister from the hood and you know how she get down? You know she gonna throw some F-bombs at you when she get mad. You can count on it. You know she gonna call you a chump if you don't perform excellently during intimacy. And she gonna say it to you, and you know that already. No, man, she don't got no respect. She be talking to me like I'm a chump. She think you a chump, and you knew that when she was talking to you. You gotta be honest. That's the precaution. Because now you're in the marriage, you gotta endure that. You can't all of a sudden now, like, no, man, the way she talked to me, you know, I'm supposed to be the man. No, you should be the man. It shouldn't be, no, I'm supposed to be. You should know you the man. And she should know you the man. So you're not taking the precautions you need. And then make sure you confirm everything. Cross all your T's and dot all your I's. That's marriage. Know what you're willing to accept. Know what you're not willing to accept. Right? That's important. Know what you're willing to accept and know what you're not willing to accept. That's the marriage, because if you don't do that, what's going to come out of that is going to be disastrous, and it's going to lead to a lot of sins, right? Bad thoughts of each other, hatred of, because we Muslims at the end of the day, we brothers and sisters. So how we deal with one another is also a heart matter. We have to love one another. If we doing all things that make us hate one another, think badly of one another, we're doing that. This is dangerous, right? This is dangerous. So for the marriage, you have to be extremely cautious. And you do it wrong, what comes out of doing it wrong? The marriage can be invalid, which will lead for zina until you die. The marriage is fasid. And the result of the invalid marriage is that you think you married and you're not, and you're committing fornication till you die. Because we get married and we don't want to get divorced. So we may be in fornication till you die as a result of not doing it right. The other thing, that we're together and we have children and it ain't done right. Maybe our children are children of zina. Fornication. These are bastard children now because we ain't do it right. Inheritance laws. You can't inherit if that's not your real father. So we mess up the legacy of our families. The right of protection of a father, having a wali. That man is not longer your wali. You have girls, he go get married. That's not your dad. He don't have the right to be over you. Islamically, there's a lot of things that come out of doing this wrong. And other than that, so when we're talking about that, please, let's get the rules. And why did I say following a madhab? Because the rules are details, right? They're details. This ain't fake judges, right? This is people who are fuqaha, scholars, right? So you can't just have common people dealing with these rules. Somebody got to learn fiqh. And not fiqh sunnah, right? You got to learn fiqh for real. So I'm emphasizing this. This is serious stuff, right? And in our community, we bypass all that stuff as a norm, right? One of the most notorious events that happen all the time we hear, we see somebody come after the marriage went all south, and then you ask the sister, who did your wedding? I don't know. What happened at the wedding? I don't know. Who was there? His friends. No guardian, no protection, no one speaking on your behalf, no real imam. And what do I mean real imam? I mean somebody who's responsible to a congregation. That's different. As an imam, I ain't talking about how knowledge you necessarily may be. The imam in a real community, he got people to answer to. He stands on that minbar in front of people. And those people, they're going to hold him to some standard. May not always be the highest of standards, depending upon the people. But if he got good people, he's at a higher standard of what he must do. So he can't just do anything because he's responsible. Not like the imam who don't have a real community, right? All of us, whatever we do, somebody going to call us on it. And we can't hide because every day we're in front of children, families, elders, a real community. The society, political officials, educational, business people, you in front of everybody. Everybody, that's the imam of the mosque. You can't do whatever you want. not without being censored. You can do some stuff, but you can count on it. Somebody gonna check you, right? You can get away with some stuff. We all got our little privacy and we can get away with things, but nothing major. If it comes out in public, you're gonna answer for it. But the guy who don't got no congregation, he don't do whatever he want because he don't got nobody to answer to. No one expects anything from him except you. You expect him to tell you fantasy island stories, right? Well, that's very important. The rules, the rules, the rules. Now, if we're falling short at the rule level, then we can adjust it. At least we know it, right? We don't have the excuses saying we don't know. All right, I don't meet these rules. So that's important. So the marriage itself, we can go to, because I think this is a long thing, but I want to give some, because I need some rules here. Integrals of the marriage contract. This is according to the school of Shafi'i, right? And it may be in other schools, but I can't speak of other schools. That requires research and not the kind of research some imams do. Imam Naeem, did you catch that one?
I think I caught it.
That was hilarious. You got to give it to me. But Islamic research, right? The integrals of the marriage contract in the Shafi'i school are five. So you can take it, the sigha, the verbal expression between the husband and the wife, or the groom and the bride, or the groom and the wali, better said, right? The bride, the groom, the husband, the guardian of the bride, and two witnesses. That's needed for a valid marriage contract. An expression, an offer, and an acceptance. The woman, the man, the guardian of the woman, and the two witnesses. And all of these have rules related to who can be what. That's in more details. So whenever you do a marriage contract, and I'm speaking to the sisters because usually you're the ones getting game ran on you. Make sure all these things are present and you hear them. The expression of an offer from your guardian to that man, and that man accepting. You need to hear that. And you need to make sure the witness, this is your marriage. You need to make sure this is happening. You can't sit there and don't know what's going on. And another thing, I saw this. Don't let nobody impress you doing something in Arabic and you don't understand nothing that's going on. No, make sure it's in a language you can understand. And if they're going to say it in Arabic, make sure they translate as they're going along. Don't be saying something I don't know what you're talking about. This is my life. And this is my legacy, my future generations, maybe my children, my Jannah, my hellfire. It could be one way or the other. Nah, you can't just do what you want with me. What are y'all talking about? What was said? You have to be, if any time to run your mouth, that's it right there, right? Make sure that somebody's taking care, because sometimes you get in guardians because our family structures mess up. That's the homie. You know, this guy done picked you a guardian. You know what I mean? You, oh, my man, he gonna stand for you out. You know, he's the guardian. Nah, I don't want your man. Your man is your man, not my man. I need my man, right? And if not, my man gonna be the Imam or somebody. It ain't gonna be your man. No, your homie's not my guardian. This is what we deal with. This is, don't say I didn't know, right? Then the conditions for the wife, for the bride. She must be a free woman to be able to do her own stuff. Need to be this specific woman. You know who the heck you marrying. That's why this internet marriage, phone marriage, you don't know who's who. No. I know exactly who's getting married here. And a big one, that the woman who's getting married, she can't be married to someone else and can't be in a waiting period for somebody else. That happens a lot. We see weird stuff. There was a sister that had 2 husbands. I mean, she was insane in that, but really, a man at night and a man in the daytime. When the guy go to work in the day, the other husband come for the day. When the guy go to work in the day, the night husband come for the day. This real stuff. We ain't making it up. So or she's in her idda period and she's married already to another dude. No, haram. She needs to be free from a marriage, a valid marriage, and she can't be in her waiting period. This stuff occurs. The man, he needs to be free. You need to know who he is. He needs to be doing this free of will by his own choice. He must know that the woman he's married is actually lawful to him. He needs to make sure he can't just marry. Is this woman valid for me to marry? And one of the ways, he knows her name, he knows her lineage, he knows exactly who she is. He knows who he's marrying. There's no ambiguity there. And a big one in the Shafi'i school, which makes things tough for the witness, they must be doing that free of their own volition. They must be free of anything that prevents them from being a wali, like a disbeliever. You can't have someone that's a wali who's not a Muslim. And even you shouldn't have a wali who's corrupt, who don't follow the rules of the religion. You don't want nobody like that as your wali. No. I need someone who's upright. I need someone who follows it, because this is the rules. If he's fasik, you don't know what he might do. You don't want him. If he's a disbeliever, he doesn't qualify for the ruling, right? And this is important, just to give you, and all these have details. I'm summarizing, just to give you something as a foundational outlook, because in all of this, you're going to go into the details. So I'm summarizing, just to say, listen, these are some things you need to do, and now you need to go sit with a teacher and make sure you understand them in detail. I hope this was of some benefit for you, because this is like a long, lengthy conversation, but when we do marriages, we go through all of that, line for line, word for word, the fiqh rulings, and then we go into this other stuff we got that has tasawwuf, has nothing to do with fiqh. So we do the fiqh part, so you know the rules, and then we go deal with you, because we got to deal with our stuff, right? And our stuff is real. And if we're honest, none of us, except the one Allah has extra mercy on, are free from stuff. We got our stuff. None of us are free from that, including us. We all got our stuff. We working on it. We are a work in progress. And I hope we are in progress, because we are definitely a work. Right?
Nah, just y'all two. I ain't got no stuff. I'm out.
Man, don't make me be like that woman that was in that meeting and start calling out your stuff. I can regulate stuff. You did that live online? Hey, you wasn't saying all that when we was alone, right? You know how I go. I was sitting there laughing, right? Because I'm talking, I got to tell you this. I'm talking to them before the people come. I'll be telling them, bring your reel, take off the mask, because it's going to come out, because you expecting me to play shake. And I'm not dealing with awliya. I'm dealing with real stuff. So I'm not talking to you like, MashaAllah, sister, Mashallah, brother. Alhamdulillah. I'm already preparing myself for all the stuff that come with this, right? As soon as y'all walk in the door, just y'all two, I know something up, right? No guardian, no, nothing. Y'all just, and y'all came in the same car, right? Yeah, I know, right? So let's keep it real. Let's figure out how we're going to fix this. And you know what? They laugh, and you know, as they go through it, and I start asking the real questions, they be like, man, Imam, real. I'm like, nah, I mean, come on. You want me to play like Joe Bag of Donuts or something. I'm not Joe Bag of Donuts. I come just where you come from. I'm just like you. And I'm working on myself just like you working on yourself. So don't think I don't see it, right? We see it. And that's cool. Stop being afraid of who you are because you are who you are. And the way you're going to get better is to recognize who you are, recognize where you're falling short, and then turn to Allah in repentance and start trying to do better. And when you fall on your face again, brush yourself off, make repentance, and keep going at it until you get it right. All of us are like that. So nobody's faking. You're not Hassan al-Basri. You're not. And you're not Rabi al-Adawiyah. You're not. Right? So we're struggling. We want to be like them. We're trying to emulate them, but we know we ain't there yet. So that's cool. Just work on ourselves. Jahid to shahid. Struggle and you will witness. And I hope that was of some benefit, but this is a long, lengthy conversation. There's a lot of studying involved. It's our life. So we could take a couple weeks sitting down and going over the rules of marriage and divorce and child custody and all inheritance and everything that we're going to deal with when we become families, because we had to leave legacies. So it takes time, but mashallah, may Allah make it easy. Go ahead, Imam.
Mashallah. Yeah, that was a lot. That was very, very beneficial. Yeah, the other part, when we talk about who we can marry, I think we'll probably be discussing this in an upcoming podcast. What's very important is, really doing research on people, right? Doing research on people, inshallah ta'ala. Nah, we're not going an extra hour tonight. I'm not. Nah, not tonight. But really, also the other part is very, in my experience, is really not paying attention to the times that we're living in, because a lot of times I hear people, they have this ideal marriage and they read in the books of hadith, and they read these things. It's very important because that's the model, that's the basis. But sometimes we are, getting a concept of marriage out of context. We're not considering a lot of these things that impact us that didn't impact, the Sahabas, and, we think that's supposed to be like one thing Imam Amin was mentioning, like sisters, they say it all the time. My money is my money. Your money is my money, and I have a right to do this and that. And all of that stuff is true. But we do have to take factors into consideration in the times that we live in, and especially for people like us. We've had so much dysfunction and so much, disorder in our lives, and trying to get it right. So we have to start looking at factors. I was looking online, and there was a non-Muslim couple, and so they were saying about the woman. I think she was like a neurosurgeon, and she makes like $400,000 a year. And then she married, her husband was like a blue collar worker. He only made like 44,000, and so she, she paid for the wedding, paid for the, the honeymoon, buy so many things. And then people was, there was a whole bunch of stuff in the comments about, and, her family was, saying that she's being dumb, she's being stupid and all this kind of things. And I'm saying that to say sometimes we have to take a lot of these things in consideration today of the position that we are in society and where we live at and some of the things that we're faced with, because, I know like sisters like to hear about their rights, being honored and being taken care of. But that's not a right to that a man has to be struggling just to be able to meet means that nobody can afford. You know what I'm saying? And nobody can afford it. Then when the man doesn't reach that level, then he's no good. And then you want to get rid of him. And then now you got 100% of the bills. When you was talking about 50-50 was a problem, now he's gone. You got 100% of the bills. So, and these are things we got to think about, because these are real life issues that are in real time, and these are some things that we find people, using as excuses to prevent them from getting married. The man might not be well off, or the sister might not be well off, or all of these kind of things. And we really have to have some real live discussions on these things, and being practical. And sometimes we got to let go of this Western mentality, about, thinking that marriage has to be like this ideal thing, that you get married and you happily ever after, and everything's supposed to be great after you get married, and there's no more worries. And, and the problems just really start. The problems just start, not problems, but the issues that you have to deal with, with two imperfect people getting together and trying to perfect each other. That's what marriage is. Two imperfect people trying to find perfection in each other. And you can imagine, you just think about in your own selves, the level of imperfection that you have, and then the level of imperfection that your spouse has that you might not know about, she don't know about you. And, then some parts we haven't even examined of ourselves, of our imperfections, or were we willing to face them, and putting that all together. And, it's supposed to be just like this harmonious, union. So it's a lot of work that has to be done, and inshallah we'll be discussing them. So I don't really have too much more, because other than that, I start thinking about stories that I start talking about, and I got plenty of them. I got plenty of them. Well, let me just run one off. I just had somebody that's not even part of my community that I came across online. Because sometimes you see the stuff, you just have to say something. And there was a sister who mentioned something. I alluded to it earlier. And so when I talked to the sister, I asked her, okay, well, how involved was your wakil before you really got off to a start with this brother? Like, how much accountability do you take in this? How much investigation? Come to find out, she didn't know anybody that knew him, didn't know any part of the community that he was from. Her wakil didn't do his due diligence, and next thing they getting married. And so stop being, sisters. You have it within your capacity to not be victims of charlatans online. Make sure that somebody knows them and check them out, and really try to avoid going that way in the first place. We still have to have a reality about being real part of real communities. And start checking jokers out, because everybody, they're not who they say they are online, and they're not even who they are in real life either. So it's so really start paying attention to these things, because this is something that we got to fix, because without solid marriages, we're not having solid families. If we're not having solid families, we're not having solid communities. If we're not having solid communities, there's going to be corruption and disorder in the land. And this is something, because when people get married, it's bigger than just coming together and being able to have intimacy and, have a nice, comfortable life, And, especially when we say that we get married for Allah, that's one of the things, I married a fi sabilillah, or I married him a fi sabilillah. And fi sabilillah means it's a difficult path, Fi sabilillah, usually when you see the phrase in the Quran, fi sabilillah, it's talking about, sacrificing your life and your wealth, shortchanging yourself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what fi sabilillah is. Fi sabilillah is not telling yourself that you had noble intentions and you didn't. For a fact that you didn't, And so we have to really start fixing those things. All right, but I think we had a couple questions, Imam. Amin, I don't know if Imam Naeem, you had anything else?
You can hit the question.
Say it again.
I said you can hit the questions.
Yeah, that's the first one. Can we talk about the men marrying the quote unquote women of the book?
Yeah, it was touched on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sister Zachariah, we're going to have a conversation about your grammar. It's quote unquote, not quote unquote.
Yeah, how dare you?
Right?
Quote unquote, sister.
Yeah, the astute student that you are, I expect better. But go ahead.
Alhamdulillah. That's one thing that I found is a lot of misunderstanding about that. A lot of Muslim men think they can marry any non-Muslim. Like, because it goes beyond the quote unquote people of the book, but a lot of Muslim brothers. A lot of Muslim brothers think they misunderstand, they have the misunderstanding that they can marry any non-Muslim woman. And that's why sometimes it's good to, when you understand the subject, especially when you understand it, when you're understanding it from the revelation perspective, sometimes it's good to look at things chronologically. So the verses that I quoted in the beginning from Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 221, that's the general rule. And usually when you say it like this, people get shocked because it's usually not presented like this. But here's the rule. Emphasis on the word rule. Here's the rule. The Muslim is only permitted to marry the Muslim. What? Yes, the general rule is that a Muslim woman can only marry a Muslim man, and a Muslim man can only marry a Muslim woman. That's the norm. That's the general rule. That's what Surah Al-Baqarah establishes. Now comes the istithna, the exception, which was later revealed in Surah Ma'idah, that the Muslim man can marry chaste women from among the people of the book. So if you understand it that way, that changes everything. Okay, normally, okay, Muslims can only marry Muslims. See, we don't go into it with that understanding. We go into it the other way. Our misunderstanding about who Muslim men can marry, and then that Muslim man can marry, Muslim woman can only marry Muslim woman. No, the general rule is that Muslims can only marry Muslims, period. And then here comes the exception that the Muslim man is allowed to marry a small group from among the people who are disbelievers. And those were the people who were given the book, the chaste women from the people of the book, meaning the Christians and Jews. That category of disbelievers. Because a lot of people are even confused about that. They think that because Allah gave the Muslim men permission to marry them, that they're somehow believers now. There's a whole lot of misunderstandings in that area. That's why I'm hoping I'm being explicit and clear. The rule, Muslims can only marry Muslims. The exception, Muslim men can marry women from the Jews and the Christians. That's it, full stop. No other two types of people can marry any other types of people. And then when you talk about the exception, there's footnotes to that. You know, during the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he was a Khalifa, and the Muslim empire had expanded, the Khilafah had expanded, in the areas like in Persia, some of the Sahaba were marrying non-Muslim women, Christians and Jews. Umar ibn al-Khattab found out about it. And then all of this is documented. You can actually look this stuff up. Umar wrote letters to them, these other Sahaba who were marrying non-Muslim women in these newly established Islamic lands. Divorce your wife. They will write back to him, are you saying that is not permissible? He will respond, I'm not saying that is not permissible, but divorce your wife. And when some of these occasions, there was an exchange of letters going back 2 and 3 times, and Umar ibn al-Khattab says, I only can say what Allah says. I'm not saying that it is haram. But what do you think is going to happen if you keep marrying these non-Muslim women who don't have to cover properly, who are not this, who are not that, who are doing this and doing that, showing their finery all over the place? What do you think is going to happen to the chaste Muslim women? And this is coming from Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu ta'ala. So I hope that, Zakaria, that I answered your question. Because a lot of people have a lot of misunderstandings about that. And me now, my position now, even if the marriage is permissible, if a Muslim brother comes to me and he wants to marry a non-Muslim, I'm not doing it. You can get someone else to do it. I'm not doing it. I don't know if any of the other imams want to answer.
I said the same thing. Somebody asked me that yesterday about marrying a Christian, and I said, listen, there's rules to it. Once you learn the rules, if you fit within the rules, you can do it. But I'm not doing that. So I won't do it for you. Why won't I do it for you? Not because it's haram. Because there are too many Muslim women in our society that need a husband. And unfortunately, the imams' wives will not allow them to fill the void. Right? So that means brothers can't be marrying no Christians. You got to marry these sisters. You got to marry the sisters. It's too many single women, Muslim women, good Muslim women with good jobs, good careers, good life, educated, not just, sisters who are not doing so well. I'm talking about sisters who are doing excellent and still can't find a husband. So, no, I'm not doing it. You mean to tell me all these Muslim women, you can't see one that you would take as a wife, and you got to have this Christian woman? That's fishy to me and from the door. Seriously. Like, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. That just don't make no sense. You have availability, abundant of good, nice, practicing sisters. Not all the stuff we talked about earlier. I'm talking about well-educated, good careers, nice practicing Muslim women, no children. I mean, whatever you like, right? I'm not saying you can't have children. I'm saying no children. And looking for a husband and cannot find. And if you're a good brother, you mean you don't want none of those sisters? What's up? To me, that's just like, so no, I'm not doing it. Don't even think about coming to me with that. Now, if she wants to take Shahada, then that's another story. I'm not saying it's not lawful. It's most likely not lawful for you because you don't even know the rules. So first, before we even discuss that, you need to learn the rules. And after you learn the rules, I'm still not doing that for you with all these Muslim women. And I remember, I will share something with that. This is how bad it is. Women might not like this. But it's so bad. One time I was on the minbar. I don't know, I was tripping, right? I was feeling my shaykhhood, I don't know, trying to be, the revolutionary imam. And I said, every man in this community needs 4 wives. And why did I say that? Because I wanted people to feel that, I'm tired of seeing all these single sisters with kafir dudes and, creeping, and that stuff is disgusting. I'm like, man up. That was my mindset. The problem with that is that men ain't manning up. The idea was great. If everybody would man up and then we start in our own community taking down this problem, it disturbs me to see a Sunni Muslim woman, and I'm going to be honest with you, marrying or messing with a non-Muslim because she can't marry him. I got needs, and she would normally be a good sister, and I'm not marrying none of these bums around here. Women say stuff like that. And or going to some person with a deviant aqidah because at least he's Muslim. They got a deviant aqidah, sister. She's Sunni, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And she's off with some dude who has a vile belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She's looking for, we got to get ourselves together. So absolutely not. Is it halal? When the conditions are met, it's halal. But everything ain't halal doesn't mean you should do it, right? And just as I said, brothers need 4 wives, but brothers need to take care of 4 wives. If you can't take care of 4 wives, you don't need 4 wives. It's a great idea, but if you can't do it, then no. That's better than you going to marry a Christian woman or some sister ending up with some man of bid'ah or some Christian dude or some non-Muslim she's creeping with. This stuff is real. I'm not talking Fantasy Island. I'm talking about real stuff. That stuff breaks your heart. You see this good sister, nice practicing, and she's running around with the dope boy. That stuff hurt, right? I seen it. This ain't like once or twice or 3 times or 4 times. Man, this stuff is normal. Just like you talking about marriage, that's normal. We see it all the time. I'm not married. I'm a career. I got a good job. I got fear of Allah though. He's a bum. I'm not marrying none of these guys in here. No, they say it just like that. That stuff hurt, right? Right now, I know off the head, just right without even thinking, 5 professional women, single, 6-figure earners can't find a husband. I know at least 5 without even thinking. And I know more than that. I'm just saying right off the head. 5 good practicing sisters, 6-figure owners, good practicing, learning their knowledge, and can't find a husband. Right off, 5 without even thinking. That's too much. And that's just me. How many women you know that are good women, imams, that can't find a husband and been looking for a husband for years, but I can't find a brother to match him. And they'll say, Imam, don't send me no slouch. Dude can't even pay my bills. I'm talking about my basic necessities. I don't need him to do anything else. He just need to take care of what the law ordered him with and can't find a man to match that. Sometimes it's hard. How do you think as an imam? I've had women come to me crazy. Imam, find me a husband before I end up fornicating. And I can't help you. I've had women tell me that. I'm trying my best. It's been years. I need a man. How you think that stuff would bring tears to your eyes? And that joke, that lady was on that thing I told you about. That woman said, you think you deserve your own. That's some real stuff. You got sisters like that can't find a husband. And you don't think that they're attractive, beautiful, well off. And what do you think that does to their morale? Right? That's our Muslim sister. It's some serious stuff we need to be thinking about. Serious stuff. So no, that's my answer with that. Absolutely not. And no. Maybe in another place, another time. Absolutely not. Go ahead.
Imam, I follow Hanafi madhab. Can I follow one of any other 3 madhabs when it comes to marriage so I can get some easy way for having walis for both man and woman?
I would answer that by saying, unless you're a jurist within the school, wherever is most facilitated to accommodate you fulfilling your religious rulings or your religious practice, follow any valid madhab. There's a rule. The common person doesn't have a madhab. So I know we say Shafi'i, we Hanafi. Most of us are following a madhab in some rules. So find a madhab that fits availability for you to do your acts of worship in the easiest manner. As long as you follow that madhab, in that, no matter which madhab you follow, is valid. Because in some madhabs, you will never get married. Like in the so when we get married into the Hanafi school. Why? Because we don't meet the conditions for the Shafi'i school. I told you people can't be corrupt. Man, we sinful people. So we would never get married if we follow the Shafi'i school. In our environments, religiously in the Shafi'i school, we all corrupt sinners. So it'd be very difficult. So our sheikhs told us follow the Hanafi school for marriage. So all of us who are married were married according to the school of Abu Hanifa because of our conditions. So, and I'm Shafi'i in fiqh, but in the case of marriage, to facilitate, we follow the Hanafi school.
Imam, nowadays parents do not realize that their sons could get involved in haram things if he didn't marry at the right time. What's your views on that? I have views and experience on that. My views and experience is that if you have a son, for example, and you fear that they may get involved in some haram, as you say, or some illicit relationship, the answer is not always marrying them right away. Sometimes you marry them and they still get into that anyway. And so, I have experience in that. So just rushing to marry him off to anybody ain't always the answer.
Imam Faheem, can you tackle that? You got experience with that.
I ain't got that, man.
Imam Faheem went out.
What if the couple has a child out of zina and they get married? Does the child still not have any rights over the father? I'm assuming she's talking about, yes, yeah, got it, yeah. I don't got nothing for that. Imam Amin?
Here, in a general ruling, he's not obligated for that child because religiously that's not considered his child. However, biologically, he knows that's his child. So he would take care of that child in a recommended manner as like he would take care of an orphan. And there is a high reward in that. So because it's not his child, religiously, he's not obligated with that. He's sinful. Don't forget the sin of zina, right? But he should still take care of that child with the same thing he would take care of his own child. So he still would do the work, but religiously, he's not obligated with that. But in terms of his own child, he's going to, he knows biologically, this is my child. But shar'an, I don't have rights over that child, and that child doesn't have rights over me. But in terms of how I'm going to deal with that child and provide for that child and take care of that child, I'm going to take care of it like I'm supposed to. Especially that it's my fault that that child is in that situation by my wrong actions. The child doesn't have anything to do with you not following the rules. So we shouldn't punish that child because we don't do the right thing. And I hear some of these people, they say, well, that's the child of the bed. I ain't regret. What kind of Negro are you, man? I've heard that. No, that's a child of the bed. Man, she take that bed, can take that rod, take that. That ain't my responsibility. I'm on the deen, I'm on the hawk. Oh, you on some serious ball till I don't know what you talking about. This is falsest claim I've ever heard.
That's a cold-hearted dude. And there's a lot of dudes like that. We talk about who you should marry. A lot of times you don't recognize that our generational trauma and even the trauma that a lot of us were raised in, it produces cold-hearted people. And a cold-hearted dude will look at a child that he knows is his biologically and be like, dang, I ain't my child, the child of the bed. Lord and the messenger say I ain't got to take care of it. Using the deen to justify the niggerism. That's what's happening. That's when we talking about the tasawwuf. That's a lot more normal in our communities than we like to admit. And then we go into these marriage situations with rose-colored glasses on and marry one of these cats. That dude is cold-hearted. He don't care. You just fulfilled an urge for him. And the child was a result of that urge. But as far as care and compassion that parents normally have for children and spouses normally have for each other, that's completely absent. The heart is cold. The heart is black. And this is part of what we're dealing with. It's in the same way, like you take one of us from the hood, and even as children, right? And we hear some shots. Half of us ain't even running. We heard shots before. But you take someone who's from a nice neighborhood, and you put them there with them same kids, and they all hear that them same gunshots go off. That kid's running and scared and bugging out of his mind. And the other kids are going to be laughing at him for being naturally scared about hearing some gunshot. Like, what's wrong? Are you all scared? Oh man, that happened every day. This is the same thing with us when we grow up in relationships. We experience so much stuff that our hearts are cold and black to it. It doesn't even affect us like it would normally affect normal people. And so we have to, if you like halfway, especially to be black in this country, it's a miracle that all of us ain't crazy. I was going to say the other term, crazy, right? Just the fact that we here and got some sort of faculties about us, I think that's a miracle on top of it, right? But so some of us, each of us are like, that they say autism is not just one type of autism, it's a spectrum, right? So a lot of us are on the spectrum with a lot of stuff. It's being, soft-hearted, cold-hearted, black-hearted. We all on the spectrum. You got to make sure that if you have some humanity left in you, that you don't marry some cold-hearted person. And sometimes these cold-hearted people are male and female. They're male and female. And I can name some famous people who's going through stuff, but I won't do that, right? So you got to make sure that you have some type of compatibility, because sometimes we don't find out until it's too late.
I wanted to touch this real quick because, Brother Zahir, I don't know. This is I think this is a round table in itself, this type of thought pattern. And Brother Zahir, I'm not going to read into your comment, but it's something that I was thinking about. That he says, I want a sister that doesn't have much. That way we can grow together. Than to have a woman with much and she's a pain. I'm not speaking of you, so don't think I'm stepping on your toes. This is a problem, the concept. We are men. Could all the men do me a favor, please? Imam Faheem, I know you got to go. This might get ready to get a little long. If you need to go, you want to say some final words? Because this is a round table in itself.
No,
I'm
go
getting
ahead.
I'm getting ready to put my car in full speed ahead.
All right, run him over.
Not him, Brother Zahir, I'm not talking to you. Even if I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you, right? Listen, could all the men, and I'll be one of you, put in the chat, please, if we can. 1 second, I'm sorry. Heck. Can we all put in the chat? We are men with emphasis. Can we please put that in there? I put it in. Can we all put that in there? We are men. Please, seriously. If you are a man, could you put that in there? And mean it. Say it with your chest. I get in trouble for this a lot in the masjid. I hate cowards. Seriously. I have disdain for a coward. Like, we men. I came up, when someone said he was a Muslim, he felt proud to be a Muslim man. And it was a badge of honor to be a Muslim man. Today, I don't know where the hell we got, excuse the term, but like, that's what it feels like. You just on the way to hell with that thought. We don't want to be men. Listen, money, status, none of that should surpass your manhood as a man. I don't care if she was a millionaire. You are a man. And from your point of view, ain't no woman should undermine and have us put down our manhood. We be looking for women to take care of us. We're men. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us, commanded us to take care of the women. If that woman, out of her generosity, wants to help you, may Allah reward her. But that does not take away the fact of your responsibilities and accountability as a man. This mama's boy stuff we got going on, where, you know, no. We got to be men. And any woman, I don't care how much she earns, if she sees a man, that money don't mean nothing to her. She'll give it all to you if you're a man. I'm telling you firsthand, they'll give you anything if you're a man. They ain't looking for your money. Because if you're a man, money going to come with you being a man. Money's going to come. Resources going to come. Allah will support you if you be a man. Sometimes we got to have that talk. Maybe that's just a man-on-man talk, but this is killing our communities, the lack of men. Man ain't based on money. That's the society and the dunya's lies. That's why they got a lot of money and they're like, they're not straight. With a lot of money, they have to freak off, right? We talking about real men, Muslim men that take pride in being a man. I don't know how to emphasize this, brothers. You intimidated because a woman make more money than you? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not like that. Khadija had a business, was a businesswoman, had money, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was such a man that she wanted him because he was a man. He was a Rasulullah, yes. But before he was the Rasulullah, he was a man of nobility and standards and principles and honor and trustworthiness and responsibility and accountability. And she wanted that man no matter how much money she had. Follow the sunnah. Be men. It ain't money. Manhood don't got to do with how much resources you have. If you a man, Allah will bring you the resources. Please, please, brothers, I beg you, man up. And what is a man? He knows the rights of Allah upon him and he does his best to fulfill it with excellence. That's a man. He knows the rights of Allah upon him, and he strives to fulfill it with excellence. I see brothers that don't want to talk to the sister's dad or her wali. Sister, let's work. What kind of man are you? You should be able to look another man in the eye and have a conversation. You're going to raise a family. You're going to be responsible for kids. You have to be a man. That's accountability and responsibility. Please, please, please. That's why our women be like, I'd rather be by myself than to be with this chump. And I'm not speaking to the brother. Please don't think I'm speaking to you. I'm just talking about our concepts. You don't want no woman taking care of you, period. If she does it out of her generosity, good. But from your side, you be like, nah, wife, I'll work it out. I'll figure it. And if it's absolutely unnecessary and y'all in that situation and she wants to help, mashallah. But you a man. You got to have some dignity, man, some honor, some izzah. Just, it hurts, seriously. It hurts because as leaders, one of the struggles we have is we don't have a lot of men. We have very few accountable, responsible individuals. Dudes be slacking. And if you slack at home, I know what you're going to do in the masjid. If you slack at home with your loved ones, your wife and your children, and you slacking, they can't count on you. I know the community can't count on you. Forget about it. And this is, I'm sorry to go, no, I'm not. I really would want to go in, but I think the point is well understood. Man up, man up. That stuff is like, it cuts. Because we could win if we had more men. We'd be trailing behind because of the lack of men. And may Allah make it easy for us.
Imam, you know how many times I've heard brothers say in my presence, I just need a woman like to teach me my deen. I just need a woman to keep me on track. I just need a woman to guide me. I'm like, wait a minute. This is stuff I used to hear sisters say that they need in a husband. Now I'm hearing brothers say this is what they're looking for in a wife. This is what you talk about. The brother just typed it in there. The baby boy effect. This is where he just typed it. Abdullah ibn Saeed Muhammad. The baby boy effect. That's not a man. And a lot of times brothers don't have examples of what real men are in their lives. And so they say these type of things and they think that this is religious, right? Like, what? You want a woman to teach you your deen? Okay, I learned things from my wife, yeah. But come on, for real? You're going to be sitting at the foot of your wife, being nurtured by, she's going to teach you the deen that you too lazy to learn now as a single man, that she's going to guide you when you right. Like, when I hear, I be wanting to cringe and I be like, I don't even know where to start at when it comes to correcting the whole mindset to produce that type of statement. Like, who raised you? Like, anyway, I'm sorry, man, but alhamdulillah.
Brothers, do y'all get our point? Seriously, this is a serious issue, especially in our communities. My brother, he's a non-Muslim. May Allah guide him. But we be having man talks, right? And one of his things he like goes in about is in the Black community where people have this issue with men being in charge of the family. So they'll say, we equal. Listen, in my house, we not equal, period. We are respectful, but I'm the man of my home, period. No ifs, ands, buts, period. I'm the man in my house. I'm a black man. I'm the man in my house. No doubt. And my wives, they're financially okay. That don't take away from my manhood. I'm the man in these homes, period. That's how we have to be. I ain't accepting nothing else. I'm not, period. We won't be together if you think you got some chunk. That ain't happening. And I got to live by that. And all of us got to live by that because they're counting on us to lead the community. These imams, you got to be a man to be an imam in a black community, to lead all the stuff we got going on. You better be a man. You can't be soft. You can't be weak. You can't be timid. You can't lack confidence. You will never lead our communities like that. Not with all the stuff we got going on. It's not happening. Period. Exclamation mark. But you know what? That's why a lot of imams be by themselves. Because we lack men. And sometimes we be accepting that stuff. I refuse to accept that. No. And brothers will tell you in my community, they might sometimes want to punch me in the mouth. I'm like, go for it. I hope you can fight. But because I'm telling you, we're going to have a problem. I have a serious problem with that issue. And I ain't the biggest dude in the world. But for my manhood, for our honor and dignity, I'll die first. And I just hope you cut like that too. Right? That's how we got to be. We got children, generations we trying to protect. We trying to raise, and you scared to take on responsibility? Come on, man. And where's your confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That Allah is al-Razaq, al-Wahhab, al-Kareem, al-Manan, al-Mu'ti. Where's your iman? None, just zero. Man, we got to split the bills. Come on, man. Like, and listen, there's nothing wrong with that if she's willing to do it. That's her generosity. And that's cool. That's a good woman. She should do it. And alhamdulillah, she makes it easy for you. And you should love her and honor her and cherish her. But that's not her job. That's your job. That's not her job. That's your job. And if it ever becomes her job, she's bound to disrespect you. Count on it. If she sees that you can't take care of her and you ain't got the energy and the aspiration to take care of your family, she's going to disrespect you, bro. Seriously, she's going to disrespect you. And you're going to destroy our Muslim families because you don't want to be a man. This is not something we can take lightly. And the thing he mentions, he said, if you go to mostly every other culture, that's normal. Go to the Arab culture, go to the Packers, the men run their houses. It's a shame, abe, for a woman to take care of the man. And that's what she has to do. Not she's volunteering to assist because Allah gave her extra wealth. No, she has to do it because he's not a man. No. No. You shouldn't be married to her. Be merciful to her. Really. Be merciful to that sister. Man up. And then as brothers, sometimes we got to have where we work together to build our men up. You know, I hate when I see a woman talking about that's my baby. He ain't no damn baby. He's a man. It's my baby. That's why I act like that, because he's your baby. All the stuff we facing, we're in the Trump era. We need strong men. We're facing all kinds of stuff. We need men, not women. Women help. Women can be, man, you know the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us? And we need to think about this. And we try to act like this ain't real. He said, whoever lets the women lead their affairs will be ruined. That's the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whoever let the women run their affairs will be ruined. The meaning of the hadith. Where do we get this idea where, the sisters are more stronger than the men in the masjid? Come on. And we accept it. It's cool. Let the sisters do it. No. I'm sorry. Y'all found one to trigger for me. It's a trigger. I hate it. If that's a munkar I hate, that's it. That's one of the. Sometimes I just want to take a baseball bat and seriously, I hate that stuff. Because we could actually win if we had more men. We could be light years ahead. Light years if manhood was just normal among us. Seriously, man, we could do so much, right? La ilaha illallah. Ya Latif, may Allah help us with this issue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go so long on it, but I told you, and I ain't even touch it the way I would like to touch it. But we got to fix that. May Allah help us. Really, 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 if I think about it, my blood pressure go up. I want to cry, for real. The condition that the black man, especially us, what we've let happen to us. It is because it's difficult to build our communities because of the lack of men. We can't get nothing done. We can't develop. We can't build institutions. We don't have enough men. Everybody got excuses. They only the man in their imaginary world. When it comes to work and putting it in and struggling, right? Where you at? Where you at, bro? I hear you the toughest dude on the planet till it comes to putting in some real work. Can't count on you for nothing. But you want to talk about some man, what Imam is, you always on somebody's back. Somebody need to be on your back. Seriously. You're disgusting with that stuff. Right? All right. I'm losing my shake. For real, man. I came up. And that's why people be talking about, Ansars and stuff. And, it was misguided. If you wasn't a man, they'd kick your butt. Seriously. If you wasn't a man, they're going to whoop you, bro. You don't take care of your responsibility. Friday, you getting a whooping. Count on it. When they do them numbers and you ain't meet them, you getting whooped. I ain't saying that's the dean. But you're responsible. We're raising children and women and community. You got to do your part. And you don't do it, you getting bust up. Period. That's how black people used to be with each other. Man checking man. Right? Now, you holler at me, I'm calling the cops. La ilaha illallah. We need that old time black religion back. Right? Bad. A part of it, not all of it, not the kufr, but the discipline, the consequences of not standing on posts. Right? We need some reckoning. Seriously. All right. I tell you, man, just think about all the consequences of not having men. Security's lacking. Joke on security sleep. Eating popcorn and drinking soda. You on security? Come on, bro.
Don't get me started. You about to trigger me now.
Yeah, I just think about because we just thinking it's about the woman. Nah, man, this stuff, it go across the whole community. Young boys don't got no men because this dude don't want to be responsible. So this young kid who could usually be guided because you don't want responsibilities, this kid ends up in jail. Just because the man, hey, my kid, go help that young boy. Go show him some manhood. It's a lot of things that come with this. Like, it ain't light. When we look at our community, a lot of that relates to the lack of manhood. You know the institutions in Jersey, and Imam Faheem, you will know this. You know the institutions are overcrowded with young Black youth. They got them in city jails doing time because they don't have space. Young Black youth. You know why? Because the male examples are shot. There ain't enough brothers that's going to like, man, let me take care of my family and be there for the young ones. So then young boys are 13, 14, 12, facing adult charges. I talked to the prosecutor in my area, the head prosecutor. He said they have a mandate to start charging these teenagers as adults because we can't stop their crimes. You know what the effect of that is? They have a mandate to charge teenage youth, they're talking about Black kids, as adults. Do you know what that means when they catch these records, what it does for them in their life? A lot of these young boys who ain't even cut like that end up in jail and become Crips and Bloods and gangs because they got to survive in jail because we ain't men. They got to go join the gang. This stuff is serious. We're talking about generations, right? And any of us who've been what we've been through, we know how that hurts. We seen it. I was out west in the feds, in Florence, Colorado. You see what they was doing to these young boys from California, from Chicago, from Texas, from Ohio, like from all over, Nebraska. These young boys going to jail with 30, 40, 50 years. I remember seeing this young boy from LA. He's in the day room just watching your MTV Raps. I'm like, yo, man, you got 45 years, young brother. What are you doing? He just partying. What's up, cuz? I'm like, what's up, cuz? You got 45 years. You better get your little young butt in that law library and figure this thing out. You have 45 years and you in this dungeon. A bunch of them. One of them, he took his shahada and we was like, they want to jump him out the gang. And we like, you ain't doing that. He's out. And you know what he said? He was like, Imam, let him do it because you don't understand. This is our family tradition. If they don't do this, they're going to get my family at home. And y'all can't help me at home. That's a reality. That young guy said, the gang is our family. We don't have fathers. That's the gang. He said, man, let them jump me. And I remember that today, man, watching them jump this guy out because we had to figure for his family because he turned Muslim and they want to, and we just go to war. It don't make a difference. But nah, he got to worry about his family and mom at home, and I don't know nothing about that. That's real stuff. And that's all a consequence of not having men, accountable men. And I say the same thing. I'm a smart kid. We was in trouble. We would have been, just having men around us probably could have prevented us from going through what we went through. But we ain't have it. Alcohol, welfare, get out the house. You can't have a man in the house if you on welfare. Man's drinking. He can't take care of the family. Man, we've been through it. This is generational stuff. This is not something light. I'm sorry to go on and on and on. But when I think about it, I personally feel it. I understand it. I see it, and it hurts. So when I speak about it, nah, man, we can't keep them. And I think I got my own little boys, and I got little boys in the Masjid. And I think about this, man, we got to man up. We can't leave these kids like this. We can't. Absolutely not. And the society don't give a crap about us. They just put us right in jail. and put us in Unicorn and let us make them millions of dollars a month. Millions. And institutions all around the country. We in there because we don't got no families. We in there in Unicorn making supplies for $1.50 or $2 an hour. I don't know what it's now, 60 cents, 90 cents an hour for years, 10, 20 years doing that. That's our people. This is stuff we saw firsthand. I remember the deputy warden coming in telling kids, young brothers, these young guys, man, listen, you got to go into Unicorn. That's Federal Prison Industries. And, you know, Unicorn are 2-baggers. You don't want to be like these poor people who work in the kitchen or in the laundry. They only 1-baggers. That's the selling points to make us slaves again. It's real stuff, man. It ain't just, and as you said, Imam Naeem, black people problem is black Muslim people problems too. And guess what? Ain't nobody coming to save us. They ain't even thinking about us. They don't even want to be associated with us. And we all know it. And our kids are growing up in masjids that are tore down. Some masjids where black kids are growing up don't have electric, don't have gas, don't have water, it's freezing, and you got jokers over top of them talking about Quran and Sunnah. Isn't that ceilings falling apart, rain? Where's the thing that kid going to aspire to? This ain't right. And it's our responsibility as men to, at minimum, speak about it. And that's not enough. We actually need to do something. And I would say to the women in closing, for my point, stop letting these men be chumps. Because it's your fault too. You make a guy comfortable being a bum, being less than responsible, just for, you know, because I need a man. He's not a man. He's not a man, and you know it. Make him a man. Push him to manhood. Help him to be a man. Help him to do business. Help him get a job. Give him some confidence. Push something in that guy to make him responsible. May Allah help us. I'm crashing out, man. It's about time for me to stop. I'm crashing out, bro. Man, I hate this stuff. All right, I'm done. La ilaha illallah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Go ahead, Imams. I'm gonna stop. I might end up saying some bad stuff. So I'm gonna stop. Put serious.
I'm actually biting my tongue. This stuff hits close to home for me.
Yeah, me too, man. I can easily follow that up with another half an hour, but subhanAllah.
Some of the stuff you describe, our situation is so bad that our young people aspire to be what you just talked about. They aspire to be in gangs. They aspire to be bums. They aspire to be irresponsible. They have that in their heart. Righteousness ain't cool. It ain't fun. I want to be all this stuff you're talking bad about. This is what I want to be. And that gets in their hearts.
Yeah, I want to close out. I don't think we have any more questions, inshallah. I think we answered everything. Oh, there was one question. I'm sorry. The sister had a question. Where did I put it? That was a follow-up about the responsibility. If the person had a baby out of zina and then they got married. Getting married don't cover the sin of zina. So getting married is not going to fix that issue. I mean, it's good. You got married and, you know, but the issue is still the issue. So he needs to, still be responsible, and the kid would never know any of that if he's responsible.
Yeah, I remember you put the question up. I think it was more of a clarification.
Right.
So to rephrase what Imam Amin said, yes, technically speaking, that's not his child. Islamically, religiously / technically, that's not his child. But biologically, that's his child. And he should behave as if that's his child with regards to how he takes care of him and all of that stuff.
This is I understand our sister Sophia asking sisters to make a grown man a man. It is putting us in a mothering role, or to make boys men without a man in the home. This is where, we're in a crisis situation. And in a crisis situation, everybody got to chip in. The Black family is in danger. And that's by design. So we're at war, literally. And when your whole village is attacked, nobody can lag behind. Everybody has to defend it. Our collective Black family is under attack, right? So everybody got to, it is hard. You're right. It is. But it's where we at. It's just, right? Some of us don't know how to be men. Some of our women, you know what you want in a man. Sometimes you got to train that person for that. Some of you don't know how. Some of you don't know how to be a man. Some of our men are afraid of society. They're afraid of rejection. They're afraid to fail, so they just continue to fail. They're afraid to lose. Seriously. They're afraid. Somebody got to motivate them. Somebody got to tell them, you are a king. You are a lion. Even if you know he's really a sheep, a lamb, a cat, you got to turn him into a lion somehow. And the brothers got to do that in the community. That's why they got to be around men, right? And they're not just Muslim men. Sometimes we see real strong Black men that are responsible. They just need to learn Islam. Maybe you need to mix with some of those men to learn qualities of manhood. Because you can't hang around the brothers who all are not doing anything, talking about we on the sunnah. No, that ain't going to work. So all of y'all not taking care of y'all families. All of y'all not responsible. Now, that's a bad company, right? We're talking about issues that are common, right? And listen, when I say this, I say to us, listen, if I'm wrong, show me. I welcome you. Look, I want you to say, Imam, you tripping. Here, let me show you what we really doing. But I live with you. I know what you're doing. And Imam Faheem live with you. Imam Naeem Minju, Imam so-and-so live with you. All around the country, we travel. And it ain't too different. And if you find a difference, it's so rare, you like, oh, alhamdulillah. But everywhere we go, we see the same thing. You know what I do when I go in masjids? Imam Naeem know it. First thing I look up. And when I see the ceiling leaks, when I see the windows decaying, I'm like, men ain't doing their job. When I go in the masjid, the first thing I do is look like this. That's the first thing I do. Try it. Go in our masjids and just look up. Like walk in the bathrooms, just look up. And you'll see the failure of manhood. Look around the building. And when you see decay, you're going to see the failure of Black manhood. Go to the masjid and just look. Look in the bathrooms. Just look at the structure. And when you see decay, is a lack of black manhood. That's a sign for you. Because whenever you see these things, it lets you know the men are not doing their job. And guess what? Men come to the masjid, at least on Friday, every Friday, so they're there. So they see it too. They see it too. But guess what? When you finish that, then go look at the shoes. Look at the cars they driving. Look at the outfits. And you'll see where their priorities are at. Then you'll see their priorities. And they need to be censored.
You know, about 2 weeks ago, I came to the masjid and I noticed that the light bulb in the hallway was out. So I made my intention to change the light bulb. The next day I came in, I said, oh, I forgot to change the light bulb. The third day I came in, I said, yeah, I'm going to change the light bulb. I realized the light bulb was already changed. I said, oh, alhamdulillah. And the brother told me he changed the light bulb. I had to really thank him for changing the light bulb. Because I told him, I said, so many people see stuff that need to be done in the masjid, and they just keep going like it's okay. But you changed the light bulb, right? Somebody think, man, is that bad? Yes, is that bad? Maybe if it wasn't for that brother and I didn't do it, right, that light bulb may still be out. That's how bad it is. I thank the brother for changing the light bulb. This is how bad the situation is.
Okay, we're going to close out. I got a headache.
I went to the store.
Subhanallah.
And I brought change back too.
Who want to go to the store, me or you, Imam Faheem? Who you want to go to the store? You pick.
Yeah, you guys came to the store and it was closed, man. So
okay, I go to the store, inshallah. We ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to grant us sincere and noble intentions. We ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to give us tawfiq, create in us the ability to obey Him. We ask Allah to help us rectify the ills and the sicknesses that exist within our communities. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us righteous women and righteous men and righteous children who love and honor al-Islam and exemplify that inwardly and outwardly. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us beneficial knowledge. We ask Allah to make us realize and admit the reality of our circumstances and allow us to begin to rectify our affairs. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala make these gatherings blessed gatherings, that everyone who leaves out of these sessions with a renewed aspiration to build, to develop, to progress, to become a community that the world would be proud of. Let us not be shy to deal with the struggles we have to deal with. Let us be frank with ourselves and with others and admit where we're falling short while we are diligently working. That we are constantly in the state of a tashmir, we're diligently working while admitting we are really in a state of taqsir, that we're really falling short, that we should aim high to be of people of excellence. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite our hearts upon that. And in closing, I just say to you, we all we got. Please understand that If you don't invest in your own community, do not expect it to prosper. Please, please understand that. If you do not invest in your own community, your own people, please, 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 with your wealth, with your effort, with your du'as, with your soul, with your heart, with your innermost secret, invest in your own community. Help your people rise up. It's not haram to love yourself. In fact, it's an obligation for you to love yourself. We need help. Lastly, we ask Allah to help us, and we need to help ourselves. This weekend, Saturday, December the 21st, right? That's December 21st, Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We will be in Washington, D.C., inshallah ta'ala. The Black Imams Roundtable will be coming to Washington, D.C. That used to be Chocolate City. Now I hear we fell so low, it's called Swirl City. Is that true? Is that true? But inshallah, I remember it was called Chocolate City back in the day, right? But we'll be in D.C. at Masjid al-Islam. And we will be having an all-day event from, I guess, 11 o'clock, somewhere around there, to Isha. And Imam Naeem, the sheikh and genius of the Black Imams Roundtable, will be addressing the problem we talked about, which the book is Amrad.
Risalatul Amrad.
Risalatul Imrad, which is the treatise of diseases. So he will, Amrad al-Shafi'a, he will be covering portions of that book in the beginning, and then we will open it up with the importance of knowledge and building community as a Black Imams Roundtable and a personal session. Come, really, if you can make it to DC, we'll put up the, doesn't y'all have the flyer and the address and all that? Furqan, where you at? You're supposed to be on it, everything, boom, boom, boom. It's a free event, I believe. It's a free event. And we need it to gather. So we spend, if you can make it to Washington, D.C., Masjid al-Islam. Where's the address? Where's the flyer? Where's Shuf? We'll put it up even over the next couple days. But it's Saturday the 21st in Washington, D.C. Yeah, that ain't working. That's an Africa phone. So yeah, it ain't working. We'll get the flyer up somehow, some way. So we'll be in DC Saturday the 21st from around 11 o'clock to Isha. So it will be a chance to join, to get together, to really have some heart-to-heart talk.
You can't post the flyer on a live stream.
Yeah, you can. We'll get it up. We'll get the information out. Oh yeah, Hamza, you rolling again? You rolling with me, Hamza? Are we doing the trip again, bro? Hamza was my DC partner. And we got to go have that breakfast, them unlawful sweets. Remember that halal place we went to?
Yeah, yeah.
That joint was slamming. We got to hit that.
Yeah. Somebody text me the address to that spot.
That's going to be on Furqan. He's a big businessman. We got to man up. We got to help him be a man and be responsible.
Yeah, Furqan need to be a man with regard.
Yeah. You got to take us all out to eat some good breakfast. We'll get there early. So inshallah, we'll hopefully see some of you in DC this weekend. it will be definitely a time we get together and share each other as family. Inshallah. May Allah make it easy. Barakallahu feekum. Let's close out. Bisir Asrar al-Fatiha. Please forgive us for any mistakes we made, any slips. Sometimes this stuff get a little emotional and we may say things that may not be the best thing to say all the time. Please overlook our mistakes and shortcomings and know that we intend good, inshallah ta'ala. Al-Fatiha.